Hello and welcome to the Pre-Match Meal Podcast, brand new podcast here on A Different View, where we will be looking forward ahead to the weekend's fixtures. It's Thursday as we're recording this, so we're going to look back as well at the European fixtures that have just gone. So that's what we've got coming up in store. We'll also be giving you our predictions for the weekend, and we're going to be doing like a wee points tally, and I'll explain more than that when we get to it. But I'm joined today, as you can see, by Kieran Burns from the All About Ability podcast. How are you doing, Kieran?
All right, mate. It's great to be here. I am doing good. I was better before that Celtic game went up, but I'm doing all right.
Aye, well, we're going to get into that, but before we get into that, I'm just going to let anybody listening know that there is a wee bit of a delay between me and Kieran, just in case you're wondering why there's a slight pause between me talking and Kieran speaking. It's as if Kieran's in San Marino against Riga the night, so but no. So
that's not right.
So how did you watch the game, Kieran? Because I was obviously busy watching the Motherwell game while you were playing. How I heard that Lucy scored late on in the 90th minute. What is your reflection?
I wasn't. Well, I was quite a concerning performance, to be honest. We did not look up for it. We're 10 games into the season. It seemed like we were still in pre-season mode, to be honest. Controlled most of the game. It seemed like they were taking it dead easy, but there was no. It's all like just passing and keep the ball and side to side and no actually going through it. It was dead easy for the team we were playing to defend that, and for me, it's like you've got El Nunes sitting on the bench with Greg Taylor's playing in front of him. Like, I could be a guy quicker on my knees than Greg Taylor can be. You know what I mean?
There you go. Me and you, I think Kieran's got cerebral palsy as well, for anybody that doesn't know. So I think me and Kieran are grateful that the games are only over one leg, because we're absolutely terrible over two legs, as you know, Kieran. So, but I go with the 3-5-2 again tonight. Was it 3-5-2 he's went with again?
Yeah. And that, I think that's a best formation.
Did you look troubled at all? Did we have any chances?
See, the problem with Celtic, it seems like, is like anytime, we're really good at keeping the ball, we weren't creating much. And I think the biggest problem we've got now is like he's not playing players, and he had two strikers on the bench, and Ayeti and Kamala are scoring goals, and they went 3-5-2 with Christie up top with Edward. Christie's not a striker, so I don't understand what that was all about.
I was actually pretty surprised to see Albi and Ayeti on the bench. I mean, you look at it, Edward and Ayeti, they're the top two goal scorers in the SPL at the moment, or the SPFL, should I say. And why not start your two main strikers up front? It doesn't make any sense.
He's constantly rotating it all the time. We haven't had a game with the same starting 11 all season. So it's. I'm really quite concerned about how we're setting up, in the sense of like we've got a really good squad, but he doesn't seem to know his best starting 11.
Yeah, and obviously going back to the game against Livingston, you were put under pressure by balls over the top. Like, did that happen at any point tonight? Because I know that it even happened against Ross County. Teams are getting in behind you and causing you problems. Was there any of that tonight at all?
Yeah, they got in behind us a couple of times, and they just didn't have the quality to kind of capitalise on it. And it seems like any team that comes at us and attacks our defence, they're always going to create chances. That's a big worry. We seem to just be all over the place defensively, and we're getting through these games in individual moments of quality rather than like a team performance.
Yeah. I know, but the positive aspect, I suppose, is that you are through to that next round and you will face FC Sarajevo. How are you feeling going into that one? Is it? I know you'll get the game on Sunday that we'll touch on later on, but how are you feeling going into that? Would you change anything, like bring in a change of formation, or?
I think, well, obviously you have to be happy with a 1-0 win away. Can't really complain too much with that, but you can see some sort of cracks in it and how the team are playing. the next round, the draw's been kind of kind to us, so I think we will take care of them. But he needs to figure out what his best team is and give them a run of games. We need to build some momentum and for the Old Firm in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? But constructively, do you not think that he's had enough time already to figure out his best starting 11? Surely.
Yeah, that's the big concern for me. We seem to be all over the place all the time. He doesn't seem to know. For example, we beat Ross County 5-0, and you're thinking that's the team. Go with that team for a few weeks, and he made 4 changes the next game. And you're thinking, why?
I was astounded by that. Absolutely astounded by that. And as you can see, I'm a Motherwell supporter. I'm sitting here, and I'm wondering why, because I'm seeing that he's 1-1-0. When is David Turnbull going to get a chance for you guys? Because surely McGregor could play that more Scott Brown role, because for me he's been suspect this season. He's looked at a couple of yards off it in a few games. So do you not think bringing David Turnbull into that to the mix would benefit?
I very much agree. I think we need an injection of pace in the team. And Turnbull's one of those players that's he's going to make something happen. He's going to attack the team and bring, and not just play the sideward passes. He's going to take the ball and take players on. And I think Brown, I think Brown's obviously, as a leader and as a player in the dressing room, he's very important to the Celtic team. But I think it seems as though with the talent we have in midfield, including Turnbull, Lennon's just treating Brown, it seems like a pal rather than like picking his best players. Turnbull should be getting on that team.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we will see that. I think if Brown doesn't pick up, I can see him getting dropped, because he's not going to drop Christie, and he's certainly not going to drop McGregor, I don't think. And I think maybe that's why Turnbull was brought in to be that kind of a replacement if Brown's fatigued. Well, not replacement, because I think he'll go into more McGregor's role, and they'll put McGregor in as a deeper sitting one, if that's the case. But through the next round, you've got to be pleased. I mean, the fact that you're through, because it could have been an embarrassing night for you had you went out in an easy-ish tie in the next round for you to go through. I mean, it won't be point sailing. They will cause you problems, but you've got to fancy your chances.
Yeah, I think, like I said, clean sheet away from home in Europe. Can't argue with it too much, but there are some concerns. But I think we should be comfortable in the next round, hopefully.
From my next Motherwell player, in David Turnbull, in my team Motherwell, we get beat 3-0. I doubt you would have seen much of the game, but for anybody watching, we played well in the first half. I don't want to go into too much detail because I have got my vlog coming up on the channel, which hopefully by the time this is up, this shouldn't be up too long after. It may be up on the Saturday, but I'm hoping to try and aim and get it up for the Friday night. But yeah, we started well, and then we gave away a needless free kick. We're 1-0 down, and then in the second half we were in the game up until we got a sending off, and then, as you know, Kieran, we're down to 10 men, 2-0 down. It's damage limitation by that point, and then they go and get a third, and we're out essentially. But if you were a Motherwell supporter, surely you would be happy that the teams they took that amount of money. That's certainly what I'm sitting for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think 3-0 was a harsh scoreline, really. But when I was watching it at 1-0, and it seemed like you were right in the game. The thing you can't really afford when you go into those kind of ties, especially against a team like Sheva, you need to make no individual mistakes, and that mistake from Gallagher really sealed the game for you there. He took it away, really.
Yeah. And there was 2 errors for me. There was the one for Stephen O'Donnell to make it 1-0. He's lost his marker. The guy's meant to be marking, and we're 1-0 down. I mean, I fancy does to go and get the lead at that point. But as I say, my vlog will be up on Saturday, and I will go into that more. But Aberdeen, they actually, obviously I've been watching. My job on Gogs' live stream, if you would have seen me, was to watch the Rangers game, so I was trying to keep an eye on that. But Aberdeen, they looked as if they were unlucky against Sporting Lisbon. They just lost out 1-0. He was saying basically, Kobe, that was on the podcast, when he was saying that Aberdeen had a couple of chances. they can go away proud tonight, can't they?
Yeah, totally. I think it was a tough tie they got to get through. And I thought they really looked solid and gave it a go, but Aberdeen fans really don't like McInnes that much. It seems like, because I'm reading the comments on the Twitter, and it's all like another bottle job from McInnes, and I'm thinking, their expectations seem to be too high. McInnes has really done a really good job there, and I don't know what Aberdeen fans are expecting them to do more out of that, to be honest.
I think there's a section of Aberdeen fans who are still living in the 80s, to be honest with you, mate. They expect their team to be challenging with the likes of Celtic and Rangers, or at least maybe pushing them. I could see why they would maybe want to win the cup. I think that's been the big one for Aberdeen, is that they haven't won a Scottish Cup in a while. That's the one that they would be looking. I mean, they won the League Cup against Inverness a while back, but that's the big one that they're really looking to win, I think. But I don't know who else they could bring in. They could take them further than what Derek McInnes has. And I think it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because you've seen it so many times with teams who they get rid of managers and then they're never the same again. Do you know what I mean?
It's so true, mate. It's so true. Like that, Aston Villa, if you can't remember that, when they were getting 5th and 6th in the Premier League and they wanted to push for the top 4. And they were getting tired of Martin O'Neill, and then a couple of seasons later they were relegated. Do you know what I mean? So but you end up thinking you're bigger than you are. And Aberdeen are a huge club, don't get me wrong, but they're unrealistic in the sense of not realising how well a job this guy's done. It took them to so many finals over the past few years. You got second above Rangers a couple of seasons ago. So they're always there and thereabouts. So I don't really know how much more Aberdeen fans are wanting Derek McInnes to achieve, to be honest. Other than winning that cup.
You look at the signings he's made as well. I mean, you've got to be pleased with the likes of guys like Johnny Hayes coming in and Ross McCrory, who I think, for me, is I know the depth that we've got in midfield, but he can play at the back as well. He's got to be up there as a future Scotland internationalist. It's an absolute signing for Aberdeen. And that, as you've seen in my video, I was really surprised at how convincingly we beat them at the weekend. But I'll touch on why I think that was later on. But we'll move on now to you're a Celtic fan, Kieran. I'm sure you won't mind me saying this on here. We'll move on to your bit of rivals now. Rangers, they were imperious again tonight. I was expecting that to be a tough game for them, and they've run out 4-0 winners against Willem, and 3 defenders on the score sheet as well, and the golden boy Ryan Kent. Although he's a Celtic fan, it's good to see a Scottish team doing well in Europe, and we need that for the corpus.
No, it definitely is. I mean, I like seeing Scottish teams do well in Europe. I mean, and Rangers have got a really good structure right now with Ryan Kent's really flying, and he's one of the best players in the league right now. And speaking of how Celtic don't know their start 11, Gerrard seems to really know exactly the team that he wants to play every week.
Yeah,
I think is the difference.
I think what they've done is they've kept their back four relatively solid, and their goalkeeper, I know they've changed it up tonight, they put McGregor in for McLaughlin, but they've kept the real consistency at the back. And I know you won't like me saying this as a Celtic supporter yourself, but that's what you see about teams that challenge for titles. They all have that steady base to build from, and I believe that it's as close as it's ever been this season. Although, in saying that, did you hear that tonight the Leeds owner was in the stand, so it looks as if Ryan Kent may be on his way to Leeds United.
That would be excellent.
That's excellent news for you as a Celtic supporter.
That would be good.
Do you see him staying?
I can't see him going. I think he seems to be loving it here, and he seems to. Before he moved to Rangers, he was going to all sorts of loans, all sorts of different clubs, and he finally seems settled. And to move now it seems like it would be a year or two too early.
Yeah. Do you think you should wait another year at Rangers and get more European experience under his belt, particularly he didn't have the best of seasons last season for the player that you would have signed for $7 million. I think that's a fair assessment to make. So I'm of a different opinion. I think he's a boy who's grew up in Liverpool, he's English at the end of the day. I think he's going to have aspirations of going and playing in the Premier League. And I think if the money's right, he will be away. And I don't think Rangers can lose him. Do you think he's irreplaceable for Rangers?
Definitely, mate, 100%. I think if Rangers want to really challenge Celtic this season, Ryan Kent is a must-keep at all costs. And I think, as I was saying before, when I was saying that I think Ryan Kent will want to stay, it's because of the fact if Rangers do win the league this season, it will be because of people like Ryan Kent. And if if they do achieve it, he'll go down as a legend here forever. So he could leave for a lot more money and leave as a Rangers legend if he was able to stop Celtic winning 10 in a row.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, he'll be pivotal if that's going to be possible for Rangers. But another player that many of them are saying is pivotal as well is Alfredo Morelos, and he's been in the headlines of going to leave for speculated with even a few clubs in England with him for them at one point. Who do you think is worth more to Rangers at this point? Morelos or Ryan Kent?
I think for me, Ryan Kent is the guy that they must keep. Because they brought in a couple of strikers, and that player, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Roof, is it?
Roof. And Cedric Itten from Basel as well.
I think if they can keep him fit, if they can keep Roof fit, I think he is actually a really good replacement for Morelos. And Morelos, the thing about Morelos, right, is he's guaranteed to score you 20 goals a season. But the problem with him is his head doesn't seem at Rangers. He seems to want to move.
Well, there was that reported bust up in the training ground apparently that he's had a bust up with Gerrard and a few of the other players. I would say, and you maybe agree with us, that if his head's not right, just get him out the door. And I'm sorry, I just have to say that Cedric Itten came for St Gallen, no Basel. It was a Jetty that came for Basel. Celtic, but the other Swiss came from Rangers. So just correcting myself there. I can see them losing one of them.
Yeah.
If they lose both, they're in trouble, I think.
Well, if they lose both, I think it's Celtic's title to lose.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that assessment because, as you say, Celtic. I don't think Celtic have set the world alight this season with the performances. I think that's fair to say. There was a one up at Ross County that was good, yet they still find themselves. Everybody's been talking about how good Rangers have been defensively, and rightfully so. They've only conceded 2 goals. The Celtics haven't been playing well. Rangers have been playing brilliant, and Celtic still have the chance to go ahead of Rangers. Surely, if I was a Rangers fan, that's got to concern you.
Yeah, because the thing as well is that I hope that throughout the season we'll maybe build some momentum and start playing better. So, if from a Rangers perspective, you're sitting there and thinking, well, we're on form, we've not conceded a goal, and they're still going to be, they still have the potential to be 2 points clear. That would be a concern from a Rangers perspective. But at the same time, if Celtic don't start, taking this more seriously, I feel like there's this idea that because Rangers were in Division 3 and they came back up and all this, there's no way they can get close to it. But that's how Celtic stopped Rangers getting 10 in a row at the time.
I see your concern there. I'm just trying to put your mind at ease here, mate. Do you know what I mean? Don't want you getting
yeah.
We're going through troubles with this virus and stuff. But I just want to put your mind at ease. You've got enough stress on your plate now. Particularly to vulnerable souls as ourselves. I think the difference between that Rangers team and this Celtic team is this Celtic team's a lot younger, it's a lot fresher. It doesn't have as many aging players in it. Although, and I'll make a prediction here, and over the season on these podcasts, we'll see if it proves to be right. I think it's going to go down to the last day of the season. There you go. I think it's going to be nip and tuck right to the very end. And no, it will be great if we can get fans back in stadiums.
Oh man!
That last day, could you imagine?
I might have a heart attack that day.
Please don't be doing that because I'll have nobody on the podcast with me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, it's. I mean, that would be too much. See that, but again, that all really depends on. I do believe that is possible as well, but it all depends on who's still here at the transfer window. Because we're talking about Rangers maybe selling Kieran, but I tell you this: if Celtic sell, Edward, if we let him go before the window shut, that would be devastating. That would put Rangers right in the driving seat.
Yeah, well, I think Neil Lennon quite firmly came out and said that he's not going anywhere. But I want to just jump back to Rangers because there was a big talking point during the week that Steven Gerrard got fined by the SFA for his comments of Alfredo Morelos. He was tackled by the Dundee United player, and it was everywhere. So it was. Do you think it's harsh? Because let's look at this one down the middle, right? If that happens to Edward, mate, I guarantee you're fuming. You're fuming.
Yeah. I mean, the Morelos thing is, I think he's sort of built up this reputation of being this sort of wild player. But is it the one with Porteous you're talking about?
The one with Porteous. It was the one involving the Dundee United player. I need to see who it was. But no, I think he's stud, but he's played for his stud.
Aye, that
Basically ended up in
I feel like when I watched that back, I genuinely didn't see it. Didn't seem.
It was Ryan Edwards. Ryan Edwards was the defender who committed the tackle. I know it's not meant. I'm not sitting here saying that he meant it, but if you look at that in real time, how high it was.
Yeah.
It's a straight red card every day of the week. I don't see any other. And I know the Dundee United fans are saying it was intentional, this, that, and the next thing. The blade was actually in his knee. It was in his knee.
Yeah. And it's that kind of situation where, like you said, if it was Edward, I'd be raising it. And it's that kind of situation where maybe Morelos' reputation is what made it a yellow and not a red. And I'm not saying that's the right way. I'm saying the referee should be judging it on seeing the tackle and saying that's a red card. But perhaps because it was Morelos and because of his kind of theatrics, he went for the booking thinking, oh, maybe Morelos is diving or whatever, because he's had so many disciplinary things. And the referees shouldn't think like that. And like you say, looking at it in real time, it's a definite red card.
No. And there's the challenge on Ryan Porteous as well. That was by Ryan Porteous, sorry. I don't think that one was a red card, do you?
No, it seemed as if like they just kind of ran at each other. The only thing that you would say in kind of against Porteous and for Morelos here is that it's so far away from the ball that you wonder why that's happening. Like, I understand people kind of body check people and they have that when the ball's close to them, but it's so far away from the ball that it seemed as if he's kind of trying to win Morelos up.
Yeah.
But Morelos is also kind of trying to play up and make sure that Porteous gets booked for it.
Given Morelos' reputation, see if you're a centre back, you're going to try and wind him up.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Because you know that he's got that hot head in him, where he can explode and where he can go. Do you know what I mean? But I'm just going to read the statement here. It says it was just a wee snippet of the statement. Rangers released a statement saying, whilst our national sport faces an unprecedented crisis, it is baffling that resources are used to charge Rangers manager based on a flawed and inaccurate interpretation of Steven Gerrard's words. Now, what Steven Gerrard has come out and said, I don't want to make headlines and I say a kid should have got this or that. Don't want to be that type of manager, but I'd be very interested to see what the decision would have been from the officials had they shoving on the other foot and Alfredo made that tackle. Now, I've said that he can count himself unlucky that he's been charged, but see when you think of the context of his comments, he's practically accusing referees of being biased.
Yeah, the thing is with Gerrard, I just think that's strange is your team's flying now, and you're giving the media stuff to talk about. Why? You can think it, and that you can talk about the dressing room. Me, you can talk about it, but the Rangers manager shouldn't be coming out and talking about it like that. Let the players play on the pitch.
I find it refreshing, though. I must say, I find it refreshing. I like managers and people who come out and speak their mind, like your Roy Keanes, your Chris Suttons, who don't. I say managers, I know they're pundits, but they don't hold back in their opinions. And I think that if you want to criticise a referee, you should be allowed to criticise a referee, as far as I'm concerned. Because us as fans, how many times do we sit and criticise players for performances? Do you know? I just think that referees are human. They do make mistakes, but we should be able to call them out on those mistakes. The only thing the one with Gerrard has tipped it is the fact that he said that it would have been different had the shoe been on there. And that's why he's been fined. I think it's that bit at the end.
And you're right. Like I totally agree. I think you should be allowed to criticise when there's a bad decision, but you can't subtly accuse a referee of bias. No matter the manager, no matter the team, you're always going to get fined for that. Yeah,
totally agree. And obviously it begs the question now. There's been start conversation about this down south. I know that it was brought in last year and it's caused loads of controversy. VAR in Scotland, Kieran, yes or no?
Oh no, mate, not at all.
And why not? I agree with you, but I'm going to be an antagonist here, and I'm going to offer the opposite argument, right? Just to kind of challenge you. Why not though? Does it not make it better if officials are getting decisions right?
Well, I'll be honest. I think the main reason would be because our standard of referees, like, see, if we have VAR, right? How bad? I think we'd have VAR and the referees would still get it wrong.
Well, you've seen that arguably in a couple of instances in England, but I think with the percentage of decisions that are so bad up here now, and I'm not taking anything away from referees, right? They've got a difficult job. They do have a difficult job, but why not try and help them out as much as we can? I know there's a finance issue, particularly in the time of COVID, that we're going through right now, but we have to try and give these guys and we need to find the money from somewhere, when the money is available to get these decisions right. Because say for example, right, yous are 2 points behind Rangers. Rangers are getting beaten the last day of the season. Yous are drawn, and yous go and score a goal that's onside, and the linesman puts his flag up to stop yous for winning 10 in a row. And you try to tell me that you wouldn't be sitting here on this podcast as an advocate for VAR after that?
When you put it like that, we should definitely VAR.
There you go. It's just it's about getting these things right, and I know that we don't have the money.
But do you know? See what I think the biggest problem with VAR is, to be honest. I don't mean to cut you off there, but the biggest problem is that it's used for all these wee stupid decisions. Like see that decision in the Man U game with De Gea when he saved the penalty the other week. That was an absolute disgrace. Like,
he's like an inch off the line, and no, even an inch. It's like a millimeter. It's
like use it when it's like you say, when it's something like the guy's offside like that. Use it when it's obvious. Don't use it for all this other
if he's in the middle of 6 yard box coming out to try and save the penalty, then obviously get back on your line. Do you know what I mean? But when it's those fine margins, and when you're seeing somebody's Ulster and their toenail playing them offside, it's like that. I think that's what the issue is.
Yeah, that is the problem. Some of the offside decisions you've seen in England have just been shocking. You're like, that guy isn't. You can't say he's offside if his hair's offside. Do you know what I mean? It's like.
I mean, how often does a player score with his hair? Well, obviously he heats it, but do you know what I mean? Like, when did a player ever score with his Ulster, mate?
People forget, like, the offside rule was made, right, for if you're gaining a clear and obvious advantage, right? So see, being like a ball head offside, you're not gaining a clear and obvious advantage. You know what I mean?
No. But,
I don't understand that.
But I wonder if we see any mistakes this weekend, and that's what we're going to move on to now, is previewing the weekend's fixtures. I'm going to do these in order from Saturday to Sunday. So the Celtic games will be coming up. The Celtic Rangers games will be coming up towards the end. That's all right. So first off, I've got Hamilton Accies against Dundee United. And Dundee United, they've got Lawrence Shankland back. How do you expect him to do this season?
I'm going to say this right now. I think Dundee United will finish the top 6.
I would agree with that assessment.
And because of him mainly, to be honest, I think he's the difference. When you look at all these teams, you look at the Hamels and Kilmarnocks and the teams kind of fighting for that sort of 6th spot, so to speak. The difference between your Kilmarnocks and Justin Dundee United is Dundee United to have a 20 goal a season striker.
No, I know. And you see the quality he's got. I mean, have you seen his goal against St Mirren yet?
I have not, but I heard it's
it's basically the St Mirren defender kind of a half clears it, and it's not so much an overhead kick, but it's like a scoop into the far corner, and it's just a great finish, absolute fantastic finish. But it's Dundee United's back line that I think that's where they need to improve. I mean, I love this guy, right? He was amazing from Motherwell, but they've got Mark Reynolds is getting on a wee bit, and that's our captain, Connolly as well at the back. And I think
Mark Reynolds is like you say is especially for a team just coming up from the Championship. He's a really important guy in that team.
You think he's important? I would like to see a bit of youth in there. I know it's not easy just to go out and get youth, but get somebody on loan, bring them up.
Yeah.
Because I think they miss that pace at the back. I think that's where they can be got at. And Hamilton, as I say, this is why I brought this up, because I think they've got plenty young players who will be able to run at them. Like Kyle Monroe. Kyle Monroe he scored against Livingston. He came from Clydebank. He was actually my dad knows him pretty well. My dad was a coach at Clydebank, and this boy's going to be special. So that's what Hamilton have got. They get that young energeticness about them, and it'll be interesting to see how those two sides match up.
Definitely, I think the thing about Hamilton is we keep cutting them out, and I really. Brian Race, I think, is one of the most underrated managers in the league. I think he's every year everybody says, "Oh, Hamilton will go down," and they beat Rangers at Ibrox last season, and everyone talks about, "Oh, Rangers shouldn't be losing that." Fair enough, but Hamilton played amazing to win that game. That won the Ibrox. I mean, they always manage to pull out those results to avoid that drop every single season. So. You have to give the guy his due, every season we say Hamilton go down. Every season they never, they always stay up.
As a Motherwell fan, and I say this going into every season, and there's always Motherwell supporters online, right? Anytime you play Hamilton, we're going to do them, and it's disrespectful, and I'll tell you why. Because see, at least once a season, Hamilton will beat us at Park Park. They'll always get a result for somewhere against us, and like you say, that's what they do. They get results when you don't expect them to get results, and I think they do deserve a bit more credit for what they've achieved. And you're saying that Brian Rice is an underrated manager. I think maybe every the past 2 or 3 Hamilton managers have been underrated because they've managed to keep them.
Yeah.
I mean, Hamilton as a fan base and as a club are not a Premiership club. But you need to give the youth system a lot of credit, because for me it's one of the best in Scotland.
I can't argue that. I mean, look at the guys that came through. You got James MacArthur came through there as well, didn't he? James
McCarthy and MacArthur, who both played in midfield for Crystal Palace against Manchester United, and Paul Pogba didn't get a kick.
See, exactly, and that was they came to the Hamilton Academy.
It's just proof they've had players like Alec Crawford, Brian Easton, who went to Murnley and did okay. I mean, they always bring through players that go on to do better things.
More teams in the SPFL need to follow that model, I think, because nobody outside the Celtic and Rangers can really afford to spend any sort of real money into today's transfer market. So youth has got to be the priority.
I'll sit here and I'll say that the two manager clubs have got the best youth systems in Scotland for me, Hamilton and Motherwell.
I would firmly agree with that.
In terms of opportunity, I don't think there's any better than Scotland. But what's your score prediction for that game? Because before we get it, we're going to be doing something here, right? So we're going to be, if you predict the right results, so say you say 2-1 Dundee United, right? And Dundee United go 1-2-1. You'll get 3 points, right? See if you say 1-0 Dundee United and Dundee United 1-2-1. 1 point, right? Because you predicted them to 1 in the 4. You get minus a point, right? So I'm taking points off you. If you were to predict Dundee United to win 2-1 and Hamilton were to win by more than 1 goal. So see if you predict somebody, you're beating the win by 2 goals, taking a point off you because it was a convincing victory for the other team.
I like it. I like the challenge.
And since they're so hard to predict, right, this might be confusing for the viewers, but we'll put it up on the screen and we'll put that in descriptions and posts and stuff so that you know what we're talking about. If you get a draw right, because a draw is so hard to predict, right, because a draw is at the end of the day, we'll give you 5 points, right?
Ooh,
5 points for a draw, right?
This game, actually, now that you say that, this game could be the perfect game for a draw, based on what we just spoke about there.
If I tipped you there. So what's your prediction?
Well, it's funny because when I came into this call, I thought that I was going to say Dundee United definitely, and then as I was talking about it, I was like, Hamilton are the kind of team that would go and beat Dundee United out of nowhere, really, and then I was just saying that like that. Well, maybe a draw's again. So, but I'm going to go with who I think will finish in the top 6. Dundee United will take a 2-1 win. 2-1 win for Dundee United.
I kind of knew you were going to go 2-1 there. That's why I used it in my example. But no, I'm of a similar line of thinking to you. I think that Dundee United will just have too much going forward, but I think they're going to score a good few. I'm going to go for Dundee United 3 and Monarchies 1. And you can get involved in the comments and this as well, and we'll tally them up throughout the week and we'll give a mention to whoever's performed the best. Right, there you go. There's a wee bit of audience interaction for you. So let's see if you can beat me and Kieran. I mean, our brains are damaged. You get cerebral palsy. If you don't beat us, you don't deserve to take part in it, to be honest. So all the best to you. But on to another team, a plastic pitch. Two teams that are maybe less scoring too much. Livingston v St Johnstone. I mean, and while we're on this topic, I really want to get your opinion on plastic pitches.
Plastic pitches, quite a controversial topic in Scottish football.
Any points for them?
I look at it. There's 2 ways of looking at it, right? One way is that any top flight team with a plastic pitch style, you kind of go, come on, like what are we doing here? But also, see these clubs like Livingston and Kilmarnock and Hamilton, it's through the winter and that, the weather here can be pretty horrific. Imagine that pitch can be terrible. So artificial pitches, you can play through all the kind of weather conditions. So part of me understands financially why they go for artificial pitches, but I feel like the damage it does to the players and the effect it has on the quality of the game is a bad look for the top flight of the Scottish game.
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that I think that they should be allowed up until professional level. I think at youth football, you have to give kids and people trying to make it in the game as much of an opportunity to play as possible, and plastic pitches is a great way to do that. But then there's the opposite side of that. You look at the amount of players that can't play on plastic pitches because they're so injury prone.
Yeah.
I think Tom Rogic is one of them, isn't he? He just can't really play on.
I think we had that problem with Jozo Simonovic. He couldn't play, but his knee was too curved. And you can see that. I think, especially if you go to like a top flight team in top leagues, none of them have artificial pitches. So we really need to kind of get up to the. I actually very much agree with your assessment there in the sense of like at professional level, we should be playing on grass pitches all the time.
Right, okay, and more on the teams. Sorry, we've kind of went off on a wee bit of a tangent there, but did you hear about the fiasco regarding Anthony Stokes?
Madness. And do you know, see, to be honest, I actually wasn't that surprised.
I get told initially that it was because he didn't want to play on plastic pitches, and then somebody told me it was because he was out at the pub. But
yeah,
if it's the first one, then surely he knew that he was going to a team that had a plastic pitch already. I mean, he was out and he had his photograph on the turf, so I'm pretty. And I've met Stokesy on the night out. I'm saying that as if he's one of my best mates. I know me and Stokesy, but no, I've met Stokesy on the night out, so I can see him being in the public. Do you know what I mean? No, that just because I seen him on a night out, that meant that he was in the pub. But I think that's the more plausible of the two.
Stokesy does a lot of good sets for sure, and he was a top for Hibs and Celtic. You know, he was a top class player for Celtic and for a lot of years. And I think, but it just seems like in his mind he feels like he's done.
Obviously,
he can't ball anymore.
He's been to Iran and stuff, and he's been here, there, and everywhere. But I think he's still a goal scorer, man. I think it would have been good for Livingston, particularly Lyndon Dykes. And do you think that has maybe coincided with the different goals?
Definitely, I can see Livingston and St Johnstone being two teams that are going to be really struggling to stay up this season.
Yeah, and we may as well just, in case there's any Perth farmers watching this, can't line these up. In case there's any St Johnstone fans watching this, we better touch on them as well. They've got a new boss, Callum Davidson. Were you surprised that they sacked Tommy Wright?
Absolutely shocked.
We spoke earlier in the podcast about no sacking your manager because be careful what you wish for kind of a thing with Derek McInnes. I think that you're seeing fruit of that with St Johnstone this season.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Callum Davidson's a bad coach. I think that you can see even the way that they try to play that he's got good methods and a good philosophy, but they don't really have a goal scorer. You look at 4 goals this season. Yeah. You're going to struggle if you've not got a goal scorer.
But the thing is, as well, is most of the time they've not really had that many goals. It was always really down to Tommy Wright's ability to organise them properly, and I really think that could be the decision that relegates him this season.
So I'm of the opinion as well that I think the 3 teams that are going to be down there are going to be St Johnstone, Livingston, and Hamilton.
Yeah.
I think St Mirren have enough. And that's a team that we're going to go and talk about next, the home at Kilmarnock. I think that they have enough. In fact, before we go on to them, what's your score prediction for this game? We need to get the score prediction. Livingston v St Johnstone.
Well, both teams struggling to score, but they're still kind of solid at the back. I think 0-0 written all over it.
He's went for the 5 points. This is when I'm going to try and take a win here. You're right. Both teams have been put in front of goal, but with the way that they try and play football, I think St Johnstone will nick this one. I'm going to go for St Johnstone 1 for Livingston 0.
What do you think gives St Johnstone the edge over Livingston this?
As I said, the philosophy, the way they try and play football, they try and get the ball in the deck and pass it. They've got pace in the team, which I think Livingston are sorely lacking. I think Livingston are lacking somebody that will run in behind.
Yeah.
Although, credit to them, they did give Celtic a very tough game. I mean, that must have been a scare for you.
Yeah, I mean, see, to be fair, it was 3-1. We looked like we were strolling it, and then they scored I thought they scored a brilliant goal, and then the last 10 minutes, you're thinking, oh God, we're going to concede here.
Yeah, got a bit jittery. And what a goal it was.
It definitely, I mean, I feel like Livingston are one of those teams, but if they played every team like the Celtic or Rangers, they could be up there, but they don't.
I think that it's defensively the Livingston are finding their problems, and I think their defence is that bad. That's why a point in St Johnstone Sailor plays well. I think that's why I went for St Johnstone to make this 1-0. But it's one of the games, as you say, it could be any result. Let's be honest, anybody could come away. But we touched on them a wee bit earlier. But St Mirren, they're one of the teams that I think have improved this season. I'm impressed with who they've signed defensively. Marcus Fraser and Richard Tate, two signings that I think really showed up their defence. They're coming in against the Kilmarnock side, who got an impressive win with 10 men against Hamilton last week. What's your assessment? How would you view this game?
Are the St Mirren players still? Are they still missing a few through the COVID situation?
I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they're still. I think it's one more game because I'm sure they need to isolate for 2 weeks, and I know that that's probably is bang on the 2-week period with that, but I don't know if because it's I think they might actually be okay because I think the 14th day will be the Saturday, but again, it's whether have the players trained?
Yeah, true. And
are they going to be fit? I'm thinking they might be missing, but the thing is that it was goalkeepers, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two goalkeepers and one other, am I right? There's 3 of them, wasn't
there? Yeah. I think they really, like, that was a big blow for them, losing the players that they had, and I'm really impressed. Like, see, when we were watching like Dundee United Kilmarnock game a couple of weeks ago, I was really impressed with the way in which Kilmarnock just hammered them, and this goal they scored was amazing. Like that McKenzie chipped over the keeper from the. Did you see that goal? Did you see the goal?
No, I've never seen it. I'm one of these ones that I only watch sports scene with Motherwell win, but obviously now that I've got the channel, that's going to be changing now because I'm going to need to give people a lot more in-depth analysis. But yeah, I think going back to St Mirren, because that's who we're talking about. I think they brought in Bobby Lamal. He's a good goalkeeper for Hearts, albeit he's a good replacement. So I know Richard Tate's suspended, but I don't know. I fancy St Mirren on Saturday.
I quite fancy Kilmarnock.
Fancy Kilmarnock. I mean, they're one of the teams that they would expect to be up there. I believe that they have a Scottish internationalist in their side, and Stuart Finlay. I think he should be starting at centre back for Scotland. I think he's big. He's got pace. He loves a tackle. Do you know what I mean?
Especially the last couple of games for Scotland, we looked all over the place defensively. So why not give him a try? Yeah,
McKenna just doesn't cut it for me.
I don't rate him at all. He moves like a piece of cardboard, mate. Honestly,
I think we're faster than him. I think we've got more pace than Scott McKenna.
Exactly, mate.
But no. You say I mentioned that Stuart Finlay loved a tackle, so do 2 of their midfielders. As I say, they've got their 2 midfielders, Power and Tisboa. They've got both in the top 10 for most yellow cards this season. So I think that's an asset of Kilmarnock games that they try and stop teams playing at source, and they make themselves really difficult to beat. Because as I say, with the defence they've got in Finlay, they'll just defend set pieces all day, mate. Do you know what I mean? So if we're coming out and foul with people putting crosses into the box, defence are just eating that up.
No, definitely.
I was surprised that obviously, even though they never signed him, we got him, but I was surprised that nobody took him as well. I can't believe we're sitting here with him.
Kilmarnock, like you said, those two players you mentioned, there's not many players like them about anymore. Where they just get in your face all the time and don't give you a minute to think about it.
No,
That's what
anyway, on you go. Sorry.
I was just going to say that's kind of Kilmarnock's. That's what I think. That's what's kind of brought Kilmarnock to. Because a few years ago they were like the Hamilton League, where everybody was like, "When are Kilmarnock going to go down? They're going to go down." And
Yeah.
Steve Clark came in, kind of built that, and then to be fair, since he's left, they've still kind of managed to keep it afloat.
And I think that's pivotal with them keeping Alex Dyer. But I think they'll be looking to get Eamon Brophy in amongst the goals. I mean, he's been relatively quiet this season, but he's also suspended for this game. He got himself sent off against Hamilton. Did you see that one?
I missed that.
He's went to block a clearance, and he's put his foot up, and obviously he's just followed through. I mean, he is high, but I don't think there's any intention. I think in today's game it's a red, but it's one of the ones that if it happens against you, you're going, it's a red. If it happens for your team, you're going, you could have let him away with that. Do you know what I mean? But, so Kilmarnock without Brophy, St Mirren without Tate. So St Mirren minus a defender, Kilmarnock minus a striker. Who's coming out on top here?
I think Kilmarnock edge at 1-0.
I know they've got big Kabamba up front and he cause you guys problems, but I just think St Mirren at home, I love the style of play that Jim Goodwin tries to play with them. Obika, no, I'm not going to go into that, don't worry. Obika up front, and I'm going to go for St Mirren 2, Kilmarnock 0. I think Kilmarnock are one of the teams with a good 1 week. So I'm going to go for that to run, and I'm going to take St Mirren to 2-0.
I can't argue with it.
Okay, so on to Sunday. We'll start with the early kick-off. We'll try and get in order there. So Motherwell v Rangers. We had a poor start to the season, as you know, Kieran. I was looking at our first 5 games and then going like that. There's points here, I actually had us on about 13 points out of the first 5 games. And as you know, that didn't happen. I actually thought our toughest game would have been against Hibs, and that turned out to be one of our better performances. But we've won 4 games out of our last 6 now after tonight, but we weren't expected to win tonight, so I'm not really counting that as part of the record, to be honest. It wasn't really a game that we went into, we were like, we're going to win this. But do you think that Motherwell will cause Rangers problems on Sunday? What are you expecting?
Yeah, it's interesting because we spoke about Rangers' defensive record before, and I feel as though now don't get me wrong, I think this Rangers set up well and they've got a strong defence, but part of the reason why that is a lot of teams are paying Rangers and Celtic too much respect. And you seen as soon as Hibs went out and had a go at Rangers and scored 2 goals, and they had chances to win the game. They maybe should have lost the game with some of the kind of clear-cut chances they conceded as well. But you'd rather go out and have a go at them and try and score a goal than sit back for 90 minutes. Sitting back for 90 minutes really plays into Rangers' hands. So I think it comes down to how Motherwell decide to approach a game.
I think my argument for it would be, I said this to Rangers supporting friends. Yes, they didn't concede any goals, and yes, it was a fantastic start. But if you take Aberdeen out of the equation, who have they really played apart from Hibs that you would have expected in this league to cause them problems anyway?
Yeah. Well, and as well, though, when they played Aberdeen, it was right when all that stuff was going down with the players and the COVID thing. So they caught them at a really good time.
Yeah. There was obviously, I think it was just after that, to be honest, that happened with Aberdeen. It was the game after. So your timeline's a bit there. Can you make a case for Rangers getting an easy win at Pittodrie?
No, it was a good win, and I'm just saying in the sense of like at that point, Aberdeen have now built some momentum, whereas it's the same with Motherwell. Really, if you play Motherwell,
it was a fresh start for them. It was a fresh start for everybody, and you think Aberdeen a bit cold.
I think Aberdeen have. Aberdeen are always slow starters in the season, I feel like. And Motherwell, if Rangers were playing Motherwell a few weeks back, you would have put your eyes on Rangers because, like you say, Motherwell were struggling. But after that win at Pittodrie, I thought you played some really good football, and I fancy Motherwell to cause them some problems. It'll be interesting to see, because you see the reaction from Rangers drawing with Hibs, right? And you look at it and you go, I think the reason why some Rangers fans freak out at that is because they've seen it so many times last season. They've seen so many stupid points dropped, and they go back and they go, we shouldn't have dropped here and here. So it'll be I think it's an early season defining game in the sense of, if Rangers drop points again, you start to go, oh, this is the same old team.
Yeah, but momentum. This is the same team that drops silly points and places that they shouldn't really. Let's hope, because Rangers are going here expecting to win on Sunday.
Yeah.
And as you say, it leaves them people going, oh, same is happening again. But from a Motherwell point of view, we've had 96 shots at goal this season, and this is where the issue's been. Only 20 have been on target, and we've achieved 6 goals, 2 more than the team of the fewest, St Johnstone. So what I think now is happening for us, we're starting to gain that confidence in front of the goal. We've seen it tonight. We had some good chances, and then we scored 5 against Glentoran, and we scored 2 against Kilbane, and then we went through, and the strikers getting on the score sheet for us as well. And then we're going to put 3 by Aberdeen. So the goals build confidence, it's true. And I just think that if Rangers go into this with a guard not up, we could catch them out. But again, we're going to need to keep these guys that we spoke about, Kent and Morelos, quiet. If we don't do that, then it's game over.
Yeah, I mean, because the question really comes down to, because like you pointed out, they've not really played anyone inside the top sort of 6 outside of Aberdeen at the start of the season, and you look at it and you go, can Rangers know how much is on the line this season? They need to stop it, and Celtic need to win it. And so, can they handle the pressure? Like, these are the kind of games where you go, if you're going to win the league and catch Celtic this season, you need to go to Motherwell and win.
Yeah. So, are they going to go to Motherwell and win? That's the question.
It's a hard one, but I can see them. I can see them edging it, but I'm going to go with.
Sorry, Rangers are going to win. You're allowed to say it. I'm not going to.
I know. See, because obviously the thing is that I am very much as much of a Motherwell fan as you are in this scenario, but I do think that they will edge it. I can see Motherwell going for it, having to start scoring a goal, but maybe being
strong.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
So what's your score like?
I'm going 3-1 Rangers.
3-1.
I hope my dad doesn't hear that.
Did you whisper that? You did that, but no.
I hope I'm wrong, but I hope I'm wrong.
I'm giving you 2 here. I'm going. My head is telling me that Rangers will have too much for this, and they'll win 2-0. I just think the defence is there. They showed it tonight against Willem that the defence is too strong. So they still got a strong defence. They've not conceded tonight against a team that finished 5th in the Dutch Eredivisie last season. So I'm going to go for 2-0. Motherwell fans won't like me saying this, but at my heart want me to go 2-1 Motherwell, but I just can't. I mean, the best of records against Rangers in the league. I don't think we've beat them in a league fixture since 2002, if my memory serves me correctly. Or 2003, it might have been, with James McFadden, 4-1 beyond Stefan Kloss. What a day it was. But no, it's bad that I still need to remember that. But I'm going to go for Rangers 2, Motherwell 0, so you can pencil that one in there.
Yeah, well, also as well, because what you said about the set pieces for Motherwell, Rangers that's one of their strengths, is get a good ball into the box. It could cause Motherwell a lot of problems.
Yeah, and then we've got 2 games to cover before we wrap this up. Penultimate game, Celtic v Hibs. This is one for me. Are Hibs dark horses to press the Old Firm this season? Because they've had a really strong start. They've only lost to Aberdeen, and they got one against Rangers. I mean, are you seeing how vulnerable Celtic have been defensively. You must be worried going into this game, particularly with the fact that tonight's performance wasn't as convincing.
I definitely. I'm going into it thinking Hibs could cause an upset here, especially because I do think Jack Ross is one of the best managers in the league.
I'd agree with that. I would agree with that.
And I mean, the thing about Hibs have always been good going forward, but what I noticed against Rangers was off the ball they seemed a lot more organised.
Yeah,
they seemed a lot more drilled.
They've definitely shouldered up defensively because Rangers they did have a couple of chances second half, but I thought that first half Hibs were relatively untroubled until Motherwell stuck one in the back of the net. But speaking of Celtic, I want to get your opinion on this. You said at the start of the show that Neil Lennon's not found his best 11 yet. So, would you make any changes going into this game from the team that played tonight? Would you keep the formation and just go Edouard and Leggetti up front? If you're in control of Celtic, what are you doing for this game?
Honestly, I hope Lennon hears this now. He just has to play his best players. His best players, like El Younousi is one of our best players, and he's sitting on the bench, and Greg Taylor's playing this position. What is that all about? I don't get that at all. Like we've got this guy in that was playing the Champions League in Basel, and he's sitting on the bench. He comes on and scores, but that was lucky. And also, see tonight, watching that game, Jeremie Frimpong was the only guy that could take a man on and beat him. This, what is he, a 19-year-old right back? And
yep. He was on the bench tonight.
Exactly. Like he wouldn't have even came on if James Forrest didn't get injured.
And for me, you've got to start Frimpong. You've seen it against Ferencváros. Although he ended up losing that game, he came on and he added a bit of impetus to use going forward, a bit of purpose in your play. And I think James Forrest is a great player personally, but I just think Frimpong's get that bit more about him.
We've got so many players that want to pass, but you need to take on a guy and beat him. You need to take them on, and Frimpong brings that. You know?
I know, she scored tonight as well, and there's another player I want to touch on. A wonder kid that he's got, Karamoko Dembele. He's made one appearance from the bench this season, I think, and I was expecting him to be involved a little bit more. He's surprised that he's not been involved in sports.
100%. I was at the game. I think it was a season or so ago. The last game of the season came on for the last 10-15 minutes, and he was skipping by players like they weren't there. And I'm like, whoa, we need to get this boy involved. And I don't understand why he's not been. Lennon seems to not want to change. You know, he keeps. It's almost as if he's trying to do it to show that he knows more than what the fans think, or whatever the case may be, or some sort of weird dynamic going on there. Just play your best players and give guys like, because Dembele's he'll leave if we don't give him a chance, and he's going to be. I'll say it right now. He's going to be a top class player, that boy. If he keeps his head.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that if he can't force his way into the side this season, he will look to leave?
Well, if he can't do it, I think he'll leave, because I think people know. You can see the ability of the boy, and to not give him. It comes back to what you said earlier about the kind of the youth system at Motherwell and Hamilton. We need to give these boys a chance. If a guy that likes the ability of the belly can't get a sniff at the team, nobody's going to get a chance. You know, so.
And I think with you've got you've got Forrest. Surely, if one of them gets injured, he's got to be the next best replacement for me. I mean, I might be forgetting somebody. Am I forgetting anybody? You know what I mean?
Well, if you are, they're not in my thought process. I think it seems as if Dembele's not in. It comes across to me as if Lennon's got his favourites, and if you're not one of his favourites, you're not going to be playing.
Right, I can see why you think that, because there's players who haven't been playing well who, as we touched on earlier, are still in the squad. But before we move on to the last game, there's a couple of Hibs players that I want to touch on. I think if Neil Lennon goes three at the back and Hibs go up front with Dodge and Nisbet, I honestly think they can cause an upset on Sunday. I think you need to change your formation for this game. I think that's how dangerous Hibs can be. You seen how much problems it caused for the solid Rangers defence. This isn't a Celtic defence that's been solid.
Now, I totally understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna give a different opinion. And my opinion is that I think whatever formation we play, we're absolutely hopeless defensively, right? So we should just go out there, match them with you up top, and say we're going to score more than you. That's what I think we should do. Just play open and go for it, because I feel like either way we're going to be bad defensively. So just go for it anyway.
And before we get the score prediction, Kevin Nisbet, do you think he should be a rush out of the Scotland squad?
Definitely. I don't understand. There seems to be a real hesitancy to give people a chance that are in the SPFL outside of certain Rangers.
I would agree with that. I think that McBurney doesn't do anything for me. You've got players like Callum Patterson, who for me is a right back that you put up front. It doesn't get Nisbet and get Shanklin back in the squad. I mean, for me, if you look at it, Kevin Nisbet, he scored 18 goals in 25 appearances for Dunfermline last season. And you look at Shanklin's record, I mean, these are two players. He scored 28 goals in 33 games. And I know that people are going to say it's in the Championship, but goals are goals, do you know what I
mean? Yeah. If they were playing for Celtic Rangers, they'd be in that squad.
And I think they're right. I think that David Turnbull and Alan Campbell should have been in about that as well. I know that we've got players in midfield who are brilliant, but I still think they should be in that mix. But anyway, we go, sorry.
So I was just thinking that as you were saying that, what's really strange is when Steve Clark was brought in, I thought
he's going to pick new players.
Aye. And he just did he picked the same squad the Striker picked. And you're like, what's happening with that?
But I think next week we'll delve more into the Scotland side of getting an international break. Coming up not too soon, not too shortly, sorry. Not too far away, so I can get my words mixed up there. It's been a long day. I've done a full live stream today as well. Interesting. I'm just getting used to this. But no, so give me a score prediction. Celtic v Hibernian.
I'm going to go 3-2 Celtic.
You're going for the goal fest? That'll be a good game to watch. By the way, I'm going to follow you in the goal fest, but I'm going to give Celtic an extra goal. I'm going to go Celtic 4, Hibs 2. There you go. So there we go, that's it.
I would take that.
It's a tough game for you, so I'm sure you would. But two teams who are doing well at the moment, finishes off. Certainly one of them certainly punching above the weight, Ross County. And Aberdeen and Ross County certainly upsetting the odds. Have you been impressed by them? They're sitting in 5th.
Yeah, I think that not many people have been speaking about them as much as they should be. They're sort of just caving up there. And they seem to be really had their sights set on finishing high up this season. And the way it's lined up, I think they're getting Aberdeen at a perfect time.
Aberdeen being away in Portugal this evening and them being fresh. And I tell you what, one thing Ross County do is they come at you with plenty of energy. The physical side, they've got the big boy Ross Stewart up front. And that's somebody that I have been really impressed with. If you've seen some of his performances, because I know that when we played him there in Dingwall, he caused all manner of problems.
Yeah, well, when I seen that Ross County were that high up on the table, I thought, what's causing this? And he seems to be the main man. Definitely, that's helping them now get to that kind of next level. And I think they might cause a real upset with Aberdeen. I
think so. But obviously Aberdeen have lost Scott McKenna. He's away to Nottingham Forest for, I think it's 3 million, eventually rising to 5. Although it was an undisclosed fee, that is a reported figure. How much do you think they'll struggle with it, the likes of McKenna at the back? Although I know that we've said that we don't fancy him for Scotland, but I think for Aberdeen he was pivotal, wasn't he?
Definitely, and the thing about McKenna as well is losing him could be the difference. Like in the same way we spoke about Rangers potentially losing Kent and Morelos, Aberdeen losing McKenna could be the difference between Hibs or Motherwell jumping in front of them for that third spot.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they'll obviously look. I think they brought in a replacement. Actually, I just don't think that it could have been registered in time for this evening. But I'll need to look that up. I've been really busy today, as I say. But anyway, we touched on them earlier, the signing of Ross McCrory can really drive them forward. But I'm missing the big man up front, Sam Cosgrove. How much do you think they can push on when he comes back? Because they've been winning games. If they get that defence right and he comes back, do you think that there could be 4 teams taking points off each other this season at the top?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really quite an exciting season ahead because between Motherwell, Hibs and Aberdeen, I can't really pick third at the point, but Sam Cosgrove could be the difference.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he scored all manner of goals last season for them, and you've obviously, it depends if he's going to score more than Shankland or Nesbitt. Obviously, he's got less time to do so, but Aberdeen are really struggling for goals as it is, and they've got him to come back. So
Exactly.
it'll be an interesting season. And give me a score prediction before we sign off.
I see Ross County taking it 2-0.
Oh, you're going for the Ross County victory? This is where I'm going to get my draw on. I'm going for Aberdeen 1, Ross County 1. There you go. I just think because they played tonight, then they'll get tired in the second half. I think they'll come out in the first half, take the lead, and then they'll tire the second half. County will nick an equaliser. So we've said it's going to be an enthralling season, and we certainly hope that you can join us here on the pre-match meal. We're going to be putting out one of these every week, so we're going up on a different view. So please join us. We hope to get it out. This is recorded on Thursday, so you should be watching this on Friday, hopefully. But Kieran, just before you go, I know you get your own podcast, All About Ability podcast. The link to that will be in the description, by the way. So please subscribe to Kieran's channel. What is it you're looking for your channel?
Well, the channel, when I started doing that, it's a more kind of serious look on. We're both in wheelchairs, and for me, I dealt with a lot of like different mental health issues to the way I see myself in the chairs and stuff, and didn't have a very positive outlook on being disabled and things like that. And as I got to as I went through all that and got past it all and started to figure out that I wasn't that bad. Do you know what I mean? I started this podcast and told my story about how I overcame those mental health issues I had, and it only helped with trying to help people, but then also bringing on having people come on, like different athletes from Paralympic athletes and different professional. We have a professional boxer coming on Sunday. She's an Australian, and her nickname is a blonde bomber, and she was amazing. But having different professional.
Definitely took that for Johnny Wilder, hadn't she? 100%.
Honestly, mate, see what I wanted to do. What the main thing of it was to show that whether you're disabled or whether you're not, we all go through different things, different experiences, and
Absolutely.
it's to try and show disability in like a different light and almost normalise it to general public.
Yeah, I think I've started this channel for very similar reasons to yourself. I just want to show that just because we're in wheelchairs, it doesn't mean that we can't come on here and talk about football and give a good opinion and give a good account of ourselves, you know what I mean? And your link to the All About Ability channel, it'll be in the description. So please like and subscribe to that. And thank you. I hope you've enjoyed your pre-match meal as we've been into the meat of the fixtures this weekend, me and Kieran. But we will be back next week again and previewing more fixtures. So please join us. Please like, subscribe, and share, because I want to take this as far and wide as possible. And follow Kieran's channel, the All About Ability podcast. But we'll be back next week, guys. So cheers for joining us. See you later.